In 2014, a young woman named Sophie rented a small apartment in a big city. It was a cozy space with everything she needed to live. But a few weeks after she moved in, she started noticing strange things. Her things were changing places, food was disappearing from the fridge, and sometimes cabinet doors were open even though she remembered closing them. At first, she thought it was her forgetfulness or just the stress of work. But one night when she went to bed, she had an uneasy feeling. She felt like she was not alone in the room. In the middle of the night, she was awakened by a strange sound, as if someone was breathing slowly, carefully, right under her bed. Her heart beat faster. She slowly reached for the phone lying next to her and, without moving, wrote to her friend, "Please call the police. I think someone is in my apartment." She lay still, listening to every rustle. It seemed to her that someone was holding their breath right below her, too. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. It was the police. Sophie rushed to the door, let the officers in, and told them everything. The police began to search the apartment. And when they lifted the blanket to look under the bed, one of them grabbed his radio. Suspect located. There, in the darkness, was a man. He was thin, with dirty clothes and crazy eyes. He was clutching a large kitchen knife. The police later found out that this man had been living under Sophie's bed for several weeks. He would only come out when she was falling asleep or leaving the house, and most frighteningly, he watched her every night. It happened in 2002 to a young woman named Karen. She worked late and often returned home late at night. Her route took her through the dark, almost deserted streets of the suburbs. One day, as she parked her car outside her house, she noticed a man in a long, dark raincoat. He stood on the other side of the street and just looked at her. Karen decided to ignore him. She quickly opened the door and ran inside, locking it tightly. But she couldn't stop feeling anxious. She went to the window and stole a peek through the curtain. The man hadn't moved. He stood under the street lamp and continued to stare directly at her house. Terrified, Karen grabbed her phone and dialed 911. "Hello, police? I think I'm being followed." The operator asked her to stay on the line and let him know if her husband did anything suspicious. Suddenly, as if sensing that he had been noticed, the man smiled. He tilted his head and slowly, very slowly, walked away into the darkness. When the police arrived, they searched the street but found no one. The next day, Karen decided to watch the footage from the camera outside her house. She rewound the tape to the moment she saw the man outside the window. But what she saw next made her almost faint. The video showed that after she ran into the house, the man did not leave. He went to her window and stood there just a few centimeters from the glass. He stood there for 10 minutes without moving. But the worst thing was, he didn't look out the window. He was looking directly at the camera.